Supply just got way ahead of demand. It was out of control ahead of demand when the housing crisis occurred in 2007 and 8. We just had way more supply than we had buyers, and everything got upside down. Look at what happened since. Nothing has been built, yet our population continues to grow. We keep having babies, and we haven't had any new supply. This is what tells all the smart money. It's going to take a very long time to get supply back in alignment with demand. And right now it's kind of unique. And so I want to talk to you about, we have definitely a very unique market right now. For those of you that weren't practicing in 2004 and 5, which means you haven't been in the business for 14 or 15 years, this is a very new market to you. You're a rookie. Even if you've been practicing for 13, 14 years, you're a rookie because you haven't completed the full real estate cycle yet. And it's very, very unique when a market pivots up. And that's what's happening. This market is suddenly pivoting up fast. And I'm going to prove to you a few things that might shock you. It's not going to stop. This is just starting. This is like 2003. We've still got 2004, 5, and 6 to go. So prices are going to keep catapulting upwards with inflation, with supply and demand out of whack. So you need to really get used to this market. Don't think that prices are ever going to come down to where they are right now again. They won't. And no one believes they will. No one, at least what I call the smart money, believes they will. And when I say the smart money as opposed to the dumb money, smart money is people that invest in real estate for a living, like real estate investment trusts, monstrous hedge funds, large investment firms, real estate flipping firms. These are people that buy hundreds of thousands of residential properties a year. And they are buying more than ever right now because they know there's no way for prices to come back down to here again. This is as cheap as you're going to get it. And I know there's people talking about bubbles bursting and things like that. This is very different than 2006. People talking about foreclosures, which is kind of ridiculous after all the deferred foreclosures, even though it's just a tiny number of them. And that's just what the media does. They like to put a lot of stuff out there. The dumb money believes in that. And dumb money are just, normal people. Dumb money is like the teacher wife and the fireman husband that are concerned, oh my gosh, if I pay this high price above appraisal to try to get a house with 9 different offers going at it, what if it crashes on me? Is it going to be 2008 and 2009 for me? Well, the answer is no. So we as agents have to be able to talk as confidently as I do and not just explain, but show the difference. Okay. So we have to, if you have buyers that are going to get an offer accepted and get the home of their dreams right now, they have to be confident buyers. So we first as agents must be confident. And like I told you, we coach a lot of the highest producing teams and agents, and they have to motivate their agents, right? They have to get their buyers agents understanding why this is still going to keep going up so that they can instill that confidence in their buyers, because if their buyers don't have that confidence, they're going to be dumb money. And dumb money sits on the sidelines waiting for something to come down that never does. And they become those people that say forever, man, I wish I had bought way back then. Okay. So let me show you a little bit about that. And I want to show you better than tell you. And we're going to give you all of these charts that I want you to use in your buyer consultations. So the first half of this, we're going to start about buyer consultations and how to adjust in this market to get more business. Then the second half, I'm going to tell you how to get more listings. Okay. So we're going to start with buyers and then we're going to move into listings. Okay. Now, don't disregard buyers in this market because, believe it or not, this is the best market to represent buyers in. I know that's contrary to popular belief, but it is, because you don't have to show much property. And because you don't have to show much property, yes, you have to write a lot more offers because it takes a lot of offers written to get something accepted, right? And yes, there's a lot of negative, emotion flowing between you and your clients because they keep missing out on properties. So you do have to work harder and you do have to become a little bit disconnected with emotions and be a little bit more professional, because doctors don't just get to deliver babies and high fives. They actually have to tell people they have cancer too. So we are going to have tougher conversations when people don't get what they want and they can't afford what they want and they need to get financing from friends and family members or maybe even hard money lenders to, bridge loans to get things done. So we have to have tough tougher conversations, but we're going to work a lot less hours because there's less property to show. Oftentimes, we're not going to be able to show a property until we get it under contract and get inside to inspect it because we have to move so fast. There's a lot of that. So there's less property to show, so less nights, less weekends, less showing. Whereas 5 years ago, you have to show like 20 properties just to get one under contract. I mean, you don't have 20 properties to show now. So you work less hours. But we have to learn to adapt to the frustration because, like I said, this market's here to stay. We're going to be in this market for a long time before prices stabilize. So we need to get used to adapting in this market, or it's going to be just like 2005 and 6, where everybody was making tons of money, but a lot of people just got out of the business because they couldn't adapt to how to operate in this new market. We can't be running around saying, "Oh my gosh, there's no inventory." There's plenty of inventory. There's never been more inventory in the history of this country than this year. It's just all selling in 5 seconds because sales volume's through the roof, and you've got to have lots of listings to have lots of sales volume. So there's never been more listings than there is. They're just selling so fast, so that we have to adjust the way we look at this market to understand it, and then to turn around and change our activities to maximizing it. And then again, be able to instill that confidence in our buyers. Now I'm going to prove to you everything I just said, because I know a lot of you are just like, whoa, that's a whole different perspective. Well, believe it or not, this is my third, I've been at this for a while. I've been in it for more than 30 years. This is my third pivot up. So this is just, we got to start doing all this again. So believe it or not, I knew exactly what graphs to pull when this started happening. I've been doing this for too dang long. Okay. So the first thing I want to show you, and this is the most important, and boy, are you guys all going to want this. And that is this magical little chart right here. And this is based on the U.S. Census Bureau. And you can see this is the U.S. Bureau of the Census, right? And these are just average home prices in the United States. Okay. And you can see going all the way back to before 1960, housing prices do not go down, gang. They just go up. Whoops, except for that big catastrophe we had called the Great Recession. Okay, I'm going back to 1960. That's 60 years. 60 years of just housing prices going up. See, in about 2005, we used to say this: housing never goes down, just the stock market. And then all of a sudden it went down. So everybody freaked out. So now everybody's been practicing since then, thinks real estate just goes up and down. But you can see it doesn't go up and down. Real estate just goes up. This one weird time, because of a lot of very strange artificial events, it did go down. But if you had just stayed calm and waited 3 years, it was back up and everybody had their equity back again. Okay? So if you look at it from this perspective, that wasn't some big dynamic cataclysmic event. It was for some banks and some investment houses, yes. It's amazing how many people let homes go into foreclosure had they just hung on. But boy, a lot of people jumped in that market, bought those things up, and all of a sudden we're off to the races again. And this is already through the first quarter of 2021. You can see prices have just been jumping at a rate of almost 1% a month over the last 8 years. Okay, so 1%. Are people waiting for the market to come back down? Actually, the home they're about to buy is going up in value at almost 1% a month. So I don't know how you have a buyer consultation without showing this chart. I just don't know how you do it. Because you've got to give your buyers the confidence to realize, hey, when would you want to buy on this chart? I want to buy anywhere further to the left. So what that means right now is, when's the best time to buy a home? It's today. And the second best time is to buy tomorrow. But if you're going to wait till you think the housing market slows down, you're just going to end up paying more and more and more at a rate of almost 1% a month. So that's the idea there, gang. We need to start sharing these things with our clients so they can see and get the confidence to get aggressive on buying. Now, investment property, if you got investors, my goodness, I mean, they need to see this as well too. They can see this as a very, very solid, safe investment. This isn't like buying Bitcoin. You don't race up and down every single day. This isn't like buying, stocks that just fly up and down. Real estate's very stable, and that chart shows it. So there's a whole lot of people who thought there was this big crash, and the price of values did go down about, on average, about 9%, and they came right back up in just a few years. So, you shouldn't be buying. People typically don't buy real estate with the intention of moving within 3 years anyway. The people that got hurt were really big speculative flippers that were trying to flip very expensive homes in short periods of time. But if you don't have to sell, You don't need to. And if you're an investor that's buying something that rents out and cash flows, I mean, you don't have to sell anyway. So there's really very few people you're going to meet that should be afraid to purchase in this market. The key is to get aggressive and get the home you want. Okay, so that is our median sales chart. Now, I do want to tell you a little, I want to back up a few of the other promises I made because I know I shocked some of you on there. I want to show you another one that I want you to include in your buyer consultations as well. But this one is more to keep your spirits up, okay? This talks about our annual home sales, okay? So this is our sales volume. And you can see this chart shows the annual sales volume, okay, in millions in this country. And this is from the National Association of Realtors. And you can see up in 2005, we hit a max of 6.2 million that year. Okay. And then it dipped down. There was a lot less sales volume after the Great Recession. And then sales volume started to tick up again. And it's been ticking up ever since. And then in 2020, we came up to 5.6. Now, 2021, we've seen this continue to increase as more and more people are buying and selling. So you can see, even last year in 2020, in the middle of a national global pandemic, we had the second highest total sales volume than we've had in history, only to that huge housing boom we had back in 2005. So remember, if you have increased sales volume, we as agents are paid based upon a percentage of sales volume. So we get paid a commission. So because of that, the more sales volume, the more agents are earning in commission. And what you can see here also means the more listings there are, because you can't have transactions and commissions without listings. So last year, we had more listings than we have ever other than the year of 2005. This year, we're likely to blow past 2005's number and have more listings than ever. So understand, the listings are out there. The inventory is there. We just have a wildly reckless amount of demand. So because of that, we have to keep that mindset as agents to understand the commission's out there. If we're not getting it or we're working really hard, we're doing something wrong ourselves. And it's really important we remember that. If we're working hard, we're doing something wrong, okay? If we're working hard, we're doing something wrong. And that's a huge problem if we're not shifting into this new way of doing business, all right? So we're writing more offers, but we're showing less property. We're writing offers as often as we can before we show property. You know, if someone says, hey, I've got a home going on the market live today on Thursday, and we're going to present all offers Monday night, we don't just wait and go look at the house on Sunday, because you know as well as I do, it's probably going to be sold by Saturday, even though they said they're presenting on Sunday. Remember, dumb money is the seller. And if you got like a teacher that is the seller and a fireman that is the husband of the seller, and they get like 20 offers, they're going to say, oh my gosh, it's too much stress for them. They're not business people. They're going to say, just accept one. Just accept one. So they're going to accept it early. You're going to get mad at the listing agent because the listing agent said that you had till Monday, but they can't control their sellers. So that's why it's going to happen. You get in there and you write that offer and you go look at it. They're going to say you can't see it sight unseen. Say, I'm going to see it, but I'm getting that offer in just in case. I'm going to go see it Saturday, but here's my offer just in case. And then you put in the offer, I'm going to show it Saturday at 10 a.m., just so they know when they're reviewing them. Because in all likelihood, we've got to show first. We got to write those offers first. And we got to tell our buyers that in that buyer consultation up front, that we're not doing things the old fashioned way. You're not going to be able to go look at a bunch of houses and make a choice. That's just not going to happen. Not if you want to get a house. And if you don't get a house, I'm not trying to hurry you. I want you to get the house you want. But I need to make you aware, I have to watch out for your financial interests. And that's the part I have to watch out for. And if we keep missing houses because we're taking too long each time, the price of the home you want to buy is going up at almost 1% a month. And at 1% a month, that gets extremely costly. So because of that, it's crucial that we get those offers written. So we got our hat in the ring before we show property. And we'll have an inspection period so we can get in there and take a look at it to make sure we get it afterwards. So really important we change and get that aggressive. If you don't believe in that or that goes against your moral compass, you're living in a market that we're not in anymore because you're going to be missing out too much. You're going to get too frustrated. That's why so many agents quit at the highest income time for agents. It's never been easier to be an agent than it is in a low inventory market like the one we're in. If you pivot the way you do business and you shift. If you keep doing everything the way you've always done, you're going to get real frustrated and say, we need more listings. And you're going to keep saying the market's going to turn because you're in denial. You have to change your mindset, guys, because the rich get richer. And usually the rich are the ones that adapt and modify and pivot. I know all of our clients at ICC, these are big hitters. These are guys that sell 500, 800 homes a year, and they are steering that ship hard. They are just spinning that ship. They're turning the wheel and getting everybody doing things differently, and they'll change the whole market. It'll upset all those lower producing agents like, wait a minute, why are you doing it this way? Why, because you have to succeed in this market. Okay, you have to succeed. Okay, that 1% a year thing, let me show you that as well too. Over here, you can see this is the annual appreciation of home prices, okay? So you can see home prices going up. This was the recession where prices went backwards for a little brief dip, but then we caught up with that really quickly in like 3 years, like I said, and then boom, we're off the races with normal appreciation. And then last year, in the middle of a pandemic of all things, we go up 9%. And then this year, everybody's been projecting 10%, and that's the NAR, Mortgage Bankers Association, just about everybody's predicted about a 10% increase in values. But now most people are revising that to be like 15, 20%. Prices are jumping because supply is so dang low and demand is just outrageously high. So if you look at that, in 2 years, we're talking about all home prices going up 19%. That is really close to 1% a month, guys. We're just south of that. So that's, and your buyers need to know that. If you want to wait, that's costing you 1% a month to wait. And I showed you the graph, how real estate does not go down in price. So I don't know what you're waiting for to begin with. All you're waiting is for that chart to keep going up, 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 while you attempt to time the market and waiting for the next great recession that happens once every 100 years. We had the Great Depression and the Great Recession. Otherwise, it's been just upward spiral the entire time. So it's really important, guys, that A, you believe this, and B, you're able to educate your clients about this. They need to hear this. They need to know this, because they're going to be hearing a bunch of crazy media out there about bubbles bursting and stuff. That always happens, okay? That happened in 2003, 2004, 2005, 2006. And then in 2007, somebody was actually right, But after that, people have made millions, if not gazillions. In this case, I don't think it's going to even happen that soon, because we aren't doing all the crazy stuff to artificially stimulate the market that we were back then. So in all likelihood, this one's going to stick around. Now, here's the kicker. Probably the most important thing we show to buyers. Okay, probably the most important thing we show to buyers. There's one thing that controls in real estate, and that is supply versus demand. Supply versus demand. Okay, that always controls. I don't care what happens. If you don't have enough supply to keep up with demand, I don't care what happens with interest rates. I don't really care what happens with interest rates anyway. It's never impacted home values. I don't care what happens with interest rates. And I don't care what happens with presidential elections. I don't care what happens with the forbearance or the foreclosure stuff. If supply can't keep up with demand, prices are going to go up. That's rule number one of economics. And there's no way that anything is going to trump the supply versus demand rule in economics. And if any of you take an economics course, that's the first thing they teach you. Supply versus demand rules and governs all economic factors. So without those two being in equilibrium, it was supply way behind demand. That's going to happen. And guys, this is why all the investment trusts and hedge funds and all the smart money, Warren Buffett was on CNBC earlier this week saying, hey, his Berkshire holding company is going to be doing nothing but investing in residential real estate too. And it's because of this, guys. You can see population and the amount of houses that are built has always been pretty much in alignment with each other until the Great Recession spooked everybody. And then look what happened in the last 10 years. We didn't build any houses. All the major national home builders went under. I'm talking Syntex, Pulte, Macmillan, all the big boys across the country went away, except for just a handful. And now the ones that are still existing are barely building at all. They're just building very small amounts. I know you think you have a lot of construction going around you, but it was nothing compared to 2004, 5, and 6, where we had way more houses being built at this time, record numbers being built in the 90s and the 2000s, where supply just got way ahead of demand. It was out of control ahead of demand when the housing crisis occurred in 2007 and 8. We just had way more supply than we had buyers, and everything got upside down. Look at what happened since. Nothing has been built yet our population continues to grow. We keep having babies and we haven't had any new supply. This is what tells all the smart money. It's going to take a very long time to get supply back in alignment with demand. In fact, most people are predicting that the federal government is going to start subsidizing home builders, literally socializing home builders like we would like crops or milk or commodities, because we need more housing supply. So we're going to start giving money to builders to build more houses because we need shelter for our people. Those are conversations that are just starting to happen right now. I'm not saying good, bad, or whatever, but that's how far out of whack we are right now. Every one of your clients needs to see this and understand this. Our duty is to provide our clients with all the material information they need to know to make informed decisions with regards to their purchase and sale of real estate. That's our fiduciary duty as agents. If you're not showing this, if you're not having these conversations, then we've got a big problem. Like, if we're just walking around, spreading fear about housing crashes without absolutely any economic indicators to support it, we're doing something really wrong, guys. We're doing something really wrong. Okay, let me pivot one more time. So that's one I'm going to share with you as well too. Now, I know there are some scary things, and you've heard about people because of COVID, they deferred people's mortgage payments for a while. They just deferred them, which means they're going to foreclose later because they haven't been paying them. Quite frankly, that's just not many at all. And I'm going to show you a stat on this that I'm going to give you as well too. And this is a chart of all of the foreclosures. You can see this blue line is the people that went 30, 60 days without paying. And that's actually an all-time low. And it should be. So there's very few people that have not paid at 30 and 60 days, okay? And you can see that people in the foreclosure process, there's almost none of those, okay? Very few. Now, we did spike up with people that went in 90 days for a while, but you see that's trending down now too. And the reason being is that you just can't have foreclosures when you have 19% appreciation. It would take a true moron to let their house go into foreclosure when they can sell it and make a bunch of money and pay off the bank. So it's just kind of a crazy notion that, it's kind of a dumb money argument. That maybe oh my God, what about all the foreclosures? It's going to happen again. Well, first of all, this is nowhere near this, okay? This is half of that number. Number two, very few people is even in foreclosure. No one's going into foreclosure. And these people are just stuck in the process because they haven't deferred. If they're going to get foreclosed upon, they're going to now sell. In fact, they keep deferring too. All the while, housing prices are going up 1%, which is giving them more and more equity. If anything, they're going to sell their house at a very high price and we'll eat it up. This isn't a lot. We could all use this much inventory. It's just going to make housing prices, it's going to create nice high comps to drive housing prices up even further. So I don't think there's any way that you could look at these foreclosures and say, oh my gosh, this is going to oversupply the overwhelming demand right now. You know as well as I do. This is a very small, we are now down to less than 7% delinquent. Even in the hottest market, remember the housing boom of 2004, 5, and 6, the hottest market in the history of this country, we were just under 6% delinquent. We're just above 7% right now. That's hardly noticeable. And the only reason they're in default is because they got to defer their payments. They can just sell at increased equity. So again, this is all a bunch of hype because the press loves to have something to talk about. We all know that by now. So please educate your clients. They don't make bad business decisions. Let them know. And again, if they are thinking about waiting, you can always show them these charts. I'm sure you've seen it before, but if they're thinking about renting until it comes down, we've seen how many ways that's illogical. But again, let's take a look at this chart that I've just pulled up. Sorry, took away from you. And you can see here that depending on how much they're paying in rent, whether anywhere from $800 up to $3,000, you can see how much they're throwing away, that they're not paying towards equity in their home. They're not getting that 1% appreciation by investing their money. They're actually just getting pounded by inflation. Like if they're renting for, $1,600 a month, they're throwing away almost $20,000 in the first year, almost $100,000 in 5 years. And that's what happens if you're waiting for housing prices to go down. You're throwing away $100,000. So show them this. Do not be waiting. Get out, get aggressive, and buy ahead. And what I mean by buy ahead is, if you are in a scenario where, and I'm going to share all of these with you, okay? I'm going to share all about this. Again, I see a quote in a question there. What about stimulus payments, unemployment, inflating income? Agreed. I mean, that's more, all that's doing is inflating buyer demand, okay? So that creates more inflation, okay? Which means prices go up. See, in real estate, we don't call it inflation, because we sell assets that appreciate. So we call inflation appreciation. So that part of that stimulus money is what's driving prices up. Now, if you think the stimulus is going to go away, number one, I don't. The current administration, in all likelihood, is going to keep, based on normal democratic policy, is going to keep spending money. But even if they didn't, understand the moms and pops out there that are buying real estate is a very small percentage. Remember, the bulk of the buyers right now, as was the case in 04, 5, 6, and 7, comes from very large institutional buyers. And your clients must know this. They aren't up against a fireman and a teacher. They're up against a REIT that's all cash, closing 30, buying 20,000 over asking. That's what they're up against. They're up against a hedge fund. So they need to realize they're not just battling other people. The bulk of the buyers out there are people that are gobbling up all these houses as if they were blood diamonds, because they know they're precious, because they're the smart money. They know these things are going to appreciate in value. We're one of the largest real estate coaching companies in North America. We coach a very high number of the highest producing agents and teams in the country as well, whether those are solo agents or large real estate teams or even large broker managers. We coach a lot of those. So the first thing I do want to talk about is getting connected with us in every way you can. We do have a Facebook group, and that's called the Real Estate Agent Roundtable. I recommend all of you join that. We give lots of free stuff away: scripts, dialogues, tools, charts, graphics, consultation packets, things like that. I mean, you can scroll down through it as I'm talking. You can see all the videos and different things you can pick up from it. You can also subscribe to our newsletter as well. We'll throw that in the chat room. That's the realestatetrainer.com. You get an email every single week with some new script or tool. That's it. We don't hassle you with anything. To our website. And our website has over 100,000 subscribers. It's one of the probably the highest traffic to real estate agent productivity focused website in the world. A lot of you probably subscribe to that one already, as a matter of fact. So you can sign up to those as well too, just to kind of get you started. So you can kind of get a little tighter to our community and start getting some more free stuff from us about how to improve your business. And that's what our job is trying to help you improve your business.